Admiral Sarah Chun walked through the massive halls of the Galactic Council building. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Everything here was huge. The ceilings were so high she could barely see them. The doors were 3 times taller than any human needed. This place was built for aliens, not for people like her. She had been waiting for this day for 20 years. Earth was finally going to join the Galactic Council. Humans had worked so hard to prove they belonged here. They had shared their technology with alien races. They had sent their ships to fight against space pirates. They had shown everyone that humans could be peaceful and helpful. Sarah remembered when the first alien ship had arrived at Earth 40 years ago. The whole world had been scared and excited at the same time. The aliens called themselves the Altarians. They looked like tall, thin humans, but had 3 eyes instead of 2. The 3rd eye was right in the middle of their forehead. They said they came in peace and wanted to be friends. After the Altarians came the Xanthari. These aliens were even stranger. They had blue skin that could glow in the dark when they were upset or excited. They had 4 arms and spoke in a musical voice. That sounded like singing. Then came the Vorthak, who looked like giant insects but were actually very smart and kind. One by one, 12 different alien races had made contact with Earth. All of them were part of something called the Galactic Council. This was like a government for the whole galaxy. The council made rules about trade between planets. They stopped wars between different alien races. They decided which planets could be colonized and which ones had to be left alone. It was the most important organization in the galaxy. For 40 years, humans had been trying to join this council. At first, the aliens said humans were too young and not ready. They said humans needed to prove they could be trusted. So Earth did everything the aliens asked. When space pirates called the Vorthan raiders attacked alien cargo ships, Earth sent warships to help fight them. Human soldiers died protecting alien traders they had never met. When the Xanthari home planet was hit by a terrible disease, Earth sent doctors and medicine to help save millions of alien lives. When the Altarians needed a new type of metal for their technology, Earth shared the location of asteroid mines that were worth billions of dollars. Every time, the aliens said thank you and promised to remember Earth's kindness. They said humans were good friends and valuable allies, but they never offered membership in the council. There was always another test, another way humans had to prove themselves. Sarah had been part of these efforts since she was a young officer. She had commanded ships in battles against the Vorthan raiders. She had personally delivered medical supplies to dying alien worlds. She had negotiated trade deals that made Earth wealthy but gave the aliens even better deals. She believed that if humans just kept being helpful and patient, they would eventually be accepted. Now she stood in the council chambers, waiting for the final vote. 12 alien representatives sat in a circle around her. Each one was different. The Altarian counselor was tall and pale with those 3 strange eyes. The Xanthari representative glowed soft blue and had beautiful golden robes on all 4 arms. The Vorthak delegate clicked and buzzed when he talked, and his insect-like head turned to watch her with compound eyes. Sarah looked at each alien face and tried to read their expressions. This was hard because alien faces did not show emotions the same way human faces did. But she had learned to recognize some signs after decades of working with them. The Altarian counselor's 3rd eye kept moving back and forth. Sarah knew this meant he was nervous or worried about something. The Xanthari's skin was glowing brighter than usual, which happened when they were stressed. Even the normally calm Vorthak delegate was moving his antennae in quick, jerky motions. Something was wrong. Sarah could feel it in her stomach like a cold weight. These aliens were not acting like they were about to welcome a new friend into their group. They were acting like they were about to do something they did not want to do. The council leader was a being called a Nexari. The Nexari looked like a floating jellyfish made of light and energy. They did not have a solid body like other races. When the Nexari spoke, its voice came from everywhere at once, echoing off the crystal walls. The Council has considered Earth's application for membership, the Nexari announced. We have reviewed the evidence of human contributions to galactic peace and prosperity. We have discussed the matter at length. Sarah held her breath. This was it. After 40 years of waiting, after all the sacrifices and all the proof of human goodness, they were finally going to be accepted. The Council's decision is unanimous, the Nexari continued. Earth's application for membership is denied. The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. She actually took a step backward, her mind struggling to process what she had just heard. Denied? After everything humans had done? After all the lives lost helping these aliens? After 4 decades of proving human worth? The Council finds that humanity possesses aggressive tendencies that make them unsuitable for membership. The Nexari explained. Human behavior patterns suggest an unpredictable and potentially dangerous nature. The Council cannot risk the stability of galactic civilization by admitting such a volatile species. Sarah found her voice. Aggressive tendencies? We have been nothing but helpful for 40 years. We have never attacked another species. We have only defended others when they asked for help. The Altarian counselor's 3 eyes all focused on her. It is precisely this capacity for violence that concerns us, he said in his high, musical voice. Humans are too effective at warfare, too willing to use force to solve problems, too dangerous to be trusted with the power that comes with council membership. The Xanthari representative's skin glowed brighter. The decision is final, she sang. Earth will remain under council oversight as a restricted species. Human expansion beyond your current colonies is forbidden. Human military forces will be limited to system defense only. Human technology sharing will be monitored and controlled. Sarah stared at them in disbelief. This was not just a rejection. This was a prison sentence. They were turning Earth into a cage and humans into pets. You cannot do this, Sarah said, her voice getting louder. We are a free species, we have rights. We have proven our worth 1,000 times over. The Vorthak delegate clicked his mandibles together in what Sarah recognized as laughter. Rights are granted by the Council to Council members, he buzzed. Non-members have only the privileges the Council chooses to give them. This is galactic law. The meeting ended quickly after that. Sarah was escorted out of the chamber by alien guards who were polite but firm. She was told her ship could leave Zarian Prime immediately. There would be no appeal process. The decision was final and permanent. As Sarah walked back to her ship, she noticed things she had missed before. The alien guards were not just being polite. They were making sure she actually left. The other aliens in the corridors avoided looking at her. The few who did make eye contact seemed relieved rather than sorry. When she reached her ship, Sarah found her communications officer, Lieutenant Torres, waiting with a worried expression. Admiral, we have been receiving some strange signals, Torres reported. Coded transmissions on frequencies that are supposed to be restricted to Council use only. What kind of transmissions? Sarah asked. I am not sure, ma'am. They are encrypted, but the traffic patterns suggest coordination between multiple fleets. It looks like military communications. Sarah felt that cold weight in her stomach grow heavier. How many fleets? At least 12, ma'am. 1 from each council member species, and they are all moving toward human space. Before Sarah could respond, her personal communication device chimed with an incoming message. The sender was listed as Dr. Kethver, an Altarian scientist who had worked with human researchers for 15 years. Sarah knew him well. He was one of the few aliens who seemed to genuinely like humans. The message was short and used simple code words that Sarah and Kethver had developed during their scientific collaborations. When decoded, it read, "The Council fears not your aggression, but your potential. They have voted to contain the human. Threat permanently, military action authorized. Evacuation protocols activated for all non-essential personnel." This is not a drill, run. Sarah stared at the message for a long moment, her mind racing. Then she looked up at Lieutenant Torres. Get us out of here, maximum speed. Send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we are coming home and we are bringing bad news. As the human ship accelerated away from Zarian Prime, Sarah watched the planet shrink behind them. She thought about all the years she had spent believing that aliens were humanity's friends. All the time she had argued that cooperation was better than conflict. All the humans who had died fighting to protect alien lives. It had all been a lie. The aliens had never intended to accept humans as equals. They had been studying humanity, learning about human strengths and weaknesses, gathering intelligence for this moment. The friendship had been fake. The gratitude had been an act. Even the wars against the Vorthan raiders had probably been staged to test human military capabilities. Sarah's ship was fast, but not fast enough to outrun the truth. By the time they reached the edge of the Zarian system, the alien fleets were already moving. 12 different armadas, representing the combined military might of the Galactic Council, were heading toward human space. The betrayal was complete. The trap was closing, and Earth had no idea what was coming. As stars streaked past the viewscreen, Sarah began composing the most important message of her life. She had to warn Earth that their 40-year dream of galactic friendship was about to become humanity's worst nightmare. The aliens had not rejected human membership in the Council. They had declared war on the human species itself. The only question now was whether humanity would have enough time to prepare for what was coming. Sarah looked at the navigation display. Showing their course back to Earth, at maximum speed, it would take them 6 days to get home. The alien fleets were larger and probably faster. They might arrive first. For the first time in her career, Admiral Sarah Chen found herself hoping that everything she had learned about alien intentions was wrong. But deep in her heart, she knew it was not. The cold weight in her stomach told her that humanity was about to face the greatest threat in its history, and they would face it alone. Commander Marcus Torres was drinking his morning coffee when the first alarm started screaming. He was on duty at Haven's Gate, a small military outpost on the edge of human space. It was a quiet assignment. Nothing ever happened here except routine patrols and supply deliveries. The alarm was not routine. It was the emergency signal that meant incoming attack. Marcus dropped his coffee cup and ran to the command center. His officers were already at their stations, staring at displays filled with red warning lights. "Report," Marcus ordered as he reached his command chair. Lieutenant Kim Chun, his communications officer, looked up with wide eyes. "Sir, we are receiving distress calls from multiple colonies. Kepler 442b went silent 15 minutes ago. New Geneva is under attack. Olympus Station is requesting immediate assistance." Marcus felt his stomach drop. Those were 3 of humanity's most important colonies. Kepler 442b was home to 12 million people. New Geneva had the largest shipyards outside of Earth's solar system. Olympus Station controlled the main trade routes between human and alien space. "What kind of attacks?" Marcus asked. "Unknown, sir. The signals cut off before we could get details. But the emergency beacons are still transmitting from Kepler 442b, the automatic. Systems are reporting massive orbital bombardment." Marcus turned to his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, what do our sensors show?" "Multiple alien fleets. In human space, sir. I count at least 8 different ship types. The signatures match Council member species. Altarian destroyers, Zentari battle cruisers, Vortha carrier groups. Council ships attacking human colonies?" Marcus could not believe what he was hearing. "Are you sure these readings are correct?" "Positive, sir. And they are not just attacking military targets. The bombardment pattern suggests they are hitting civilian population centers, industrial facilities, even agricultural areas." More alarms started sounding. The main display showed incoming messages from across human space. Each one brought worse news than the last dot from the mining colony at Asteroid Belt Station 7, under attack by unknown aliens. "They are destroying everything. No demands made. No surrender accepted. Send help." From the research facility on Titan's moon, alien warships appeared without warning. "They are firing on evacuation shuttles. They are killing civilians." "Why are they doing this?" From the farming world of New Kansas, cities burning, orbital platforms destroyed, population centers targeted. This is not a military action, this is genocide. Marcus stared at the reports flooding his screens. This was not a battle or a war in any normal sense. This was systematic extermination. The aliens were not trying to conquer human worlds or capture human technology. They were trying to wipe out every trace of human presence in the galaxy. "Sir," Lieutenant Chun called out. "Incoming transmission from Admiral Sarah Chun. She is aboard the diplomatic ship returning from Zarian Prime." "Put her through," Marcus ordered. Admiral Chun's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired and angry. Behind her, Marcus could see the bridge of her ship. Red emergency lighting was flashing. "Commander Torres, listen carefully," Admiral Chun said. "The Galactic Council has betrayed us. They rejected our membership application and have initiated what appears to be a coordinated attack on all human settlements. This is not a misunderstanding or a rogue faction. This is official council policy. Admiral, we are receiving reports of attacks across human space. Can you confirm the scale?" "Worse than you think, Commander. Intelligence suggests they are using detailed information about our colonies, our defenses, and our evacuation procedures. Information they gained during 40 years of supposed friendship. They know exactly where to hit us and how to cause maximum damage." Marcus felt sick. How is that possible? Every trade delegation, every scientific exchange, every joint military operation. They were gathering intelligence on us the whole time? They know our weaknesses better than we do? The tactical display updated with new information. More human colonies were going dark. The pattern was becoming clear. The aliens were hitting the outer colonies first, working their way toward Earth. They were being methodical and thorough. "Admiral, what are our orders?" "Survive as long as you can. Document everything. Get word back to Earth about what you see. The home government needs to know the true scope of this attack." Before Admiral Chun could say more, new alarms started screaming. At Haven's Gate, Lieutenant Rodriguez shouted over the noise. "Sir, incoming ships. Multiple alien vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Distance, 2 million kilometers and closing." Marcus looked at his tactical display. 12 alien warships were approaching Haven's Gate. The ship types matched. The fleets attacking other human colonies. This was no coincidence or misunderstanding. Haven's Gate was next on their list. "All hands to battle stations," Marcus announced over the ship's communication system. "This is not a drill. Prepare for combat." Haven's Gate was not a major military installation. It had defensive weapons and shields, but it was designed to fight off pirates and raiders, not a full alien battle fleet. Marcus knew they could not win this fight, but they could make the aliens pay for their victory. "Lieutenant Chun, send a message to Earth Command. Full tactical report on the alien attack patterns. Include everything we have learned about their objectives and methods." "Sir, should I include a request for reinforcement?" Marcus looked at the tactical display again. The alien ships were much larger and more advanced than anything Haven's Gate could field. Even if Earth sent help immediately, it would take weeks to arrive. The base would be destroyed long before then. "No," Marcus said quietly. "Tell them we died fighting. Tell them the aliens are not taking prisoners. Tell them this is extinction-level warfare." The first alien ship came into weapons range. It was a Zentauri battlecruiser, 3 times the size of Haven's Gate's largest defensive platform. Its hull glowed with the blue energy that Zentauri ships used for both propulsion and weapons. "Sir, incoming transmission from the alien fleet," Lieutenant Chun reported. "Put it through." The face that appeared on the screen was Zentauri. Marcus recognized the 4-armed body shape and the glowing blue skin. But this alien's expression was cold and hostile. Nothing like the friendly Zentauri diplomats who had visited Earth over the years. "Human military installation, you will surrender immediately," the alien said in perfect English. "Your weapons will be disabled. Your personnel will remain on station for processing." "Processing?" Marcus asked. "Verification that human presence in this system has been completely eliminated." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. They were not here to capture the base or take prisoners. They were here to make sure every human in the system was dead. We will not surrender, Marcus replied. The Zenthari's skin flared brighter blue. Your resistance is pointless. Your species has been classified as a galactic threat. The Council has authorized complete containment measures. Surrender will result in quick termination. Resistance will result in prolonged suffering. Marcus cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Every face in the command center was pale but determined. These people had signed up to defend humanity against unknown threats. Now they knew what that threat looked like. All weapons target. The lead battle cruiser, Marcus ordered. Let them know that humans do not go quietly. Haven's Gate's defensive weapons opened fire. Plasma beams and missile salvos streaked across space toward the alien fleet. Some shots hit their targets, causing explosions on alien hull plating. But the damage was minimal. The alien ship's shields and armor were too strong. The aliens returned fire with overwhelming force. Energy beams that could destroy a city block hit Haven's Gate's shields. The base shook like an earthquake was tearing it apart. Emergency lights flickered. Crew members were thrown from there. Stations. Shields at 60%, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. Hull breaches on levels 7 through 12. We have casualties. More alien ships joined the attack. Haven's Gate was being hit by the combined firepower of an entire battle. Fleet. No human installation could survive this kind of assault for long. Sir, Lieutenant Chun called out, I am receiving final transmissions from other human outposts. Asteroid Belt Station 7 has been destroyed. New Geneva's orbital shipyards are gone. The farming colonies in the Tau Ceti system have gone silent. Marcus watched his tactical display as human positions disappeared one by one. Each blinking light that went dark represented thousands or millions of human lives. The aliens were not just winning this war. They were erasing humanity from the galaxy. How many casualties? Marcus asked quietly. Conservative estimate, 40 million and climbing, sir. But that number will be much higher when the major colonies fall. 40 million people. Dead because they had trusted aliens who called themselves friends. Dead because they had believed that cooperation was better than conflict. Dead because they had never imagined that their greatest threat would come from the species they had tried hardest to help. Haven's Gate shuddered under another massive assault. The shields were failing. Hull plates were peeling away from the station's outer sections. Atmosphere was venting into space from dozens of breaches. Sir, we have lost main power, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. Emergency systems only, weapons offline. Life support failing. Marcus looked around the command center. Half his crew was dead or wounded. The survivors were still at their posts, still trying to fight back with whatever systems remained functional. These people deserved to know the truth about what was happening to them. All hands, this is the commander, Marcus announced over the internal communication system. The alien attack on human space is not a military action. It is genocide. The Galactic Council has decided that humanity is too dangerous to be allowed to exist. They are systematically destroying every human settlement in the galaxy. He paused, watching alien ships position themselves for the final assault on Haven's Gate. We cannot win this fight. But we can make sure Earth knows what happened here. We can make sure our species understands the true nature of our enemies. We died defending humanity against an enemy that showed us no mercy because they believe we deserve none. The alien battlecruiser fired its main weapon directly at Haven's Gate's command center. The energy beam punched through the stations, weakened shields like they were made of paper. It melted through hull plating and support structures. It vaporized everything in its path. Marcus Torres had just enough time to activate the emergency beacon that would carry his final message toward Earth. Then the command center exploded around him, and Haven's Gate joined the growing list of human installations that existed only in memory, but the message beacon escaped the destruction. It accelerated toward Earth, carrying with it the tactical data and eyewitness reports that would tell humanity's leaders exactly what they were facing. The aliens had destroyed Haven's Gate, but they had not silenced it. As the beacon traveled through space toward Earth, The systematic destruction of human civilization continued. Colony after colony fell silent. Millions of people died in the first wave of attacks. The aliens were efficient and thorough. They left nothing behind that could be used to rebuild. By the end of the first day, half of humanity's interstellar colonies had been destroyed. By the end of the first week, only a few hidden outposts and refugee ships remained. The Galactic Council's plan was working perfectly, but they had made one critical error. They had assumed that destroying humanity's colonies would be enough to eliminate the threat. They had forgotten about Earth itself, and they had no idea what humanity was capable of when pushed to the edge of extinction. President Elena Vasquez had not slept in 3 days. She sat at the head of the emergency council table, surrounded by the most powerful people on Earth, military commanders, intelligence directors, scientists, and government leaders from every nation had gathered in the underground bunker beneath Geneva. The room was filled with the quiet hum of computers and the soft voices of people trying to save their species. The numbers on the wall display kept getting worse. Every hour brought new reports from the few human outposts that remained in contact with Earth. The alien attack was not slowing down. It was getting faster and more thorough. General Harrison stood at the front of the room, pointing to a map of human space. Red X marks covered most of the display. Each X represented a destroyed colony, a dead outpost, or a refugee ship that had gone silent. Current confirmed casualties exceed 60 million, General Harrison reported. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly as he changed the display. Kepler 442b is completely gone. The orbital platforms are debris, the cities are craters. 12 million people lived there yesterday. Today there is nothing but radioactive dust. Defense Minister Zhang leaned forward in her chair. What about the evacuation ships? The refugee fleets? The aliens are hunting them down, Admiral Foster answered. He was the head of Earth's Space Navy. They are not taking prisoners. Any ship that tries to surrender is destroyed immediately. They are treating this like pest control, not warfare. President Vasquez closed her eyes for a moment. 60 million people, more than the population of most countries, all dead because they had trusted aliens who called themselves friends. How is this possible? Asked Dr. Liu, the head of Earth's Scientific Council. We have been working with these species for 40 years. We have shared meals with them. We have saved their lives. We have treated them as family. Admiral Chun, who had barely escaped from Zarian Prime, spoke up from her chair. She looked older than she had a week ago. The stress of watching her species being hunted to extinction was visible on her face. It was all planned, Admiral Chun said quietly. Every scientific exchange, every trade mission, every joint military operation, they were studying us, learning our weaknesses, mapping our colonies, identifying our defensive capabilities. They spent 4 decades preparing for this moment. But why? President Vasquez asked. What did we do wrong? We followed every rule they gave us. We proved ourselves, over and over again. That is exactly why they fear us, Admiral Chun replied. We are too good at everything they asked us to do. Too effective in combat. Too quick to learn their technology. Too adaptable to new situations. They realized that if they let us continue growing, we would eventually become more powerful than they are. The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Humanity had been sentenced to death for the crime of being successful. General Harrison cleared his throat. Madam President, we need to discuss our response options. Response options? Defense Minister Zhang laughed bitterly. They have destroyed half our colonies in less than a week. They have superior numbers, superior technology, and 40 years of intelligence about our capabilities. What response options do we have? President Vasquez looked around the table at the faces of Earth's leaders. Some looked defeated, others looked angry. A few looked thoughtful, but one face stood out. Admiral Chun was smiling slightly. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. Admiral Chun, President Vasquez said, you? Look like you have something to say. Admiral Chun stood up slowly. Madam President, the aliens made several assumptions about humanity. Most of those assumptions were correct. We are aggressive when threatened. We are adaptable. We learn quickly. We are effective at warfare. All of this is true. She walked to the front of the room and stood next to the display showing destroyed human colonies. But they made one critical error, Admiral Chun continued. They assumed we would fight them the same way we fight each other. They assumed our technology and tactics were limited to what we showed them during our cooperation. They assumed they knew everything about human capabilities. What are you saying? General Harrison asked. They saw what we wanted them to see, Admiral Chun replied. For 40 years, we showed them a version of humanity that was helpful, peaceful, and cooperative. We showed them our civilian technology. We showed them our defensive military capabilities. We showed them the face we wear when we are trying to make friends. Admiral Chun turned to face the assembled leaders. Her expression was cold and hard. They never saw the face we wear when someone tries to kill our children. Defense Minister Zhang leaned forward. Are you talking about the classified programs? All of them, Admiral Chun confirmed. The Prometheus Protocol. The Ghost Fleet. Project Ragnarok, Operation Chimera. Every black budget program, every experimental weapon, every contingency plan we have developed in the past century. The aliens know nothing about any of it. President Vasquez felt her heart racing. The classified programs were humanity's deepest secrets. Projects so dangerous that only a handful of people knew they existed. Weapons so powerful that they had been locked away and forgotten because they were considered too terrible to use. Admiral President Vasquez said carefully, some of those projects were classified for very good reasons. The consequences of using them could be catastrophic. More catastrophic than the extinction of our species? Admiral Chun asked. The room was silent again. Everyone knew she was right. The aliens were not going to stop until every human was dead. Traditional weapons and tactics had already failed. The time for half measures was over. General Harrison spoke first. The Prometheus Protocol alone would require the authorization of every major government on Earth. The weapons involved could destroy entire star systems. Then we get that authorization, Admiral Chun replied. The aliens have shown us that they consider this an extinction war. We should return the favor. Dr. Liu raised her hand. Admiral, some of those projects involve technology that we do not fully understand. The risks to our own people could be enormous. Our own people are already being slaughtered by the millions, Admiral Chun shot back. The risks of not using these weapons are far greater than the risks of using them. President Vasquez looked around the table again. The faces had changed. The defeat was gone, the uncertainty was gone. What remained was cold, hard determination. The kind of expression humans wore when they decided to do something terrible for necessary reasons. Tell us about the Ghost Fleet, President Vasquez said. Admiral Chun activated a new display. This one showed star charts that had been classified for 50 years. Hidden shipyards in the empty space between star systems. Construction facilities built in the shadows of dead planets. Weapons testing ranges in the void where no sensors could detect them. For the past 50 years, Earth has been preparing for the worst-case scenario, Admiral Chun explained. A war against an enemy with superior technology and numbers. A war where we could not rely on allies or conventional tactics. A war where our survival would depend on being more ruthless than our enemies. The display showed massive ships unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Dreadnoughts the size of small cities, weapons platforms that could crack planets in half, technology that pushed the laws of physics to their breaking point. How many ships? General Harrison asked. 10,000 combat vessels, Admiral Chun replied, plus support ships, supply vessels, and mobile construction platforms. The entire fleet has been built in secret using resources diverted from civilian projects over 5 decades. Where are they now? Hidden in the Oort cloud beyond the orbit of Pluto, the aliens have no idea they exist. Their sensors cannot detect them. Their intelligence networks never found them. As far as the Galactic, Council knows, Earth's military consists of the few hundred ships they have seen in our defensive fleets. Defense Minister Jiang stared at the display. This is impossible. A fleet this size would require the industrial output of entire planets. How did we hide the construction? We did not hide it, Admiral Chun said. We disguised it. Every civilian mining operation, every commercial shipyard, every space construction project has been contributing components to the Ghost Fleet. The aliens saw us building what they thought was civilian infrastructure. In reality, we were building the largest war machine in human history. President Vasquez felt a mixture of awe and terror. Her own government had been planning for this kind of war for 50 years, and she had known nothing about it. The scale of the deception was staggering. What about the weapons? She asked. You mentioned Project Ragnarok. Admiral Chun's smile became even colder. Planet-killing orbital platforms. Each one can destabilize a world's core and cause it to explode. We have built enough to destroy every inhabited planet in Council space. And Operation Chimera? Biological weapons designed specifically to target alien physiology. Viruses that can adapt to any alien immune system. Bacteria that can survive in any environment. Genetic weapons that can rewrite alien DNA and turn their own bodies against them. The room was completely silent now. Everyone was staring at Admiral Chun like she had just revealed that Earth was secretly run by monsters. How long have these projects been active? President Vasquez asked quietly. Since first contact, Admiral Chun replied. The moment we learned that aliens existed, our scientists began developing ways to kill them if necessary. We hoped we would never need these weapons. We believed that cooperation and friendship would be enough. But we prepared for the possibility that we were wrong. General Harrison cleared his throat. Admiral, using weapons like these would make U.S. no better than the aliens who are attacking us. Admiral Chun turned to face him. General, the aliens are committing genocide against our species because they think we are dangerous. If we use these weapons to stop them, we will prove they were right. If we do not use them, we will prove they were right to kill us. President. Vasquez stood up slowly. The weight of the decision was crushing. She could authorize the use of weapons that would make humanity the most feared species in the galaxy. Or she could let her species die with clean hands. How long would it take to activate these programs? She asked. The Ghost Fleet can be ready to launch in 72 hours, Admiral Chun replied. The Ragnarok platforms can be deployed within a week. Operation Chimera can begin immediately. And the consequences? Total war, Admiral Chun said simply. Not just against the fleets attacking us, but against every species that supported the Council's decision. We would not be fighting to defend ourselves. We would be fighting to ensure that no alien species ever threatens humanity again. President. Vasquez looked around the room one more time. Every leader was waiting for her decision. The choice that would determine whether humanity survived as a species or died as victims. She thought about the 60 million people who had already died. She thought about the children on the colonies that had been destroyed. She thought about the crews of the refugee ships being hunted through space. She thought about Earth itself, which would be next on the aliens list. Authorization granted, President Vasquez said. Begin immediate activation of all classified. Protocols Total War Authorization. Classification, Species Survival, Admiral Chun nodded. Madam President, you should know that once we begin this response, there will be no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. Good, President Vasquez replied. Let them see us as we really are. Let them understand what happens when someone tries to exterminate the human race. As the leaders filed out of the room, too, begin the most terrible mobilization in human history, President Vasquez remained behind. She stared at the display showing the destroyed human colonies and thought about the future she had just chosen. The aliens had wanted to kill humanity because they feared human potential. Soon they would learn that their fears had been completely justified. The monsters they thought they were destroying had been real all along. They had just been sleeping. Now the monsters were awake. and they were very, very angry. Captain X3 was bored. He had been stationed at the monitoring post on the edge of the Sol system for 3 months, watching for any signs of human military activity. So far he had seen nothing interesting. A few cargo ships moving between Earth and Mars, some mining vessels working in the asteroid belt. Normal civilian traffic from a species that was about to be extinct. The Xanthari captain floated in his command chair, his 4 arms working the control panels while his bioluminescent skin glowed a soft blue color that meant he was relaxed. The humans were no longer a threat. Most of their colonies had been destroyed. Their military was scattered and broken. Earth itself would be attacked within the next few weeks, and then the human problem would be solved forever. X3's communication officer, a young Xanthari named Valandra, suddenly made a noise of surprise. Her skin flashed bright yellow, which meant alarm. "Captain," Valandra called out, "I am detecting unusual activity in the outer system, near Pluto's orbit." "What kind of activity?" X3 asked. He was not particularly concerned. The humans had some mining operations in the outer planets. Probably just workers trying to hide from the inevitable. "Unknown, sir. The signatures are very large." X3's skin flickered from blue to orange, which meant mild interest. He activated his tactical display and looked at the sensor readings from the outer system. What he saw made his skin flash bright red with shock. Ships were emerging from behind Pluto, massive ships. Ships larger than anything the humans had ever built before. Ships that were appearing by the dozens, then by the hundreds, then by the thousands. "That is impossible," X3 whispered. "Where did they come from?" His tactical officer, a Xanthari veteran named Kalthara, was working frantically at his controls. "Captain, the ships are enormous. The largest ones are reading as 12 kilometers long and 4 kilometers wide. These are not human designs we have seen before. How many ships?" X3 demanded. "Still counting, sir. Current total is over 3,000 and rising rapidly." X3 stared at his display in disbelief. The human military was supposed to be broken. Their industrial capacity was supposed to be limited. The Council had intelligence reports going back 40 years that proved humans could not build fleets of this size. "Captain," Valandra said urgently, "the lead ship is transmitting a message. It is directed at our monitoring station." "Put it through," X3 ordered. The face that appeared on his screen was human, a female with dark hair and cold eyes. She wore a military uniform that X3 did not recognize. Behind her, he could see a bridge that was far more advanced than anything the humans had shown to the Council. "Xanthari Monitoring Station," the human said in perfect Xanthari language. "This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Fleet. You have 30 seconds to transmit a complete, tactical report to your superiors and then evacuate your position." "Admiral Chun," X3 replied, "the Galactic Council has authorized the containment of human military activity. Your fleet is operating in violation of Council law." The human's expression did not change. "The Galactic Council no longer has authority over human activities. You now have 20 seconds. I do not understand." "The Council is the supreme authority in this galaxy. All species must obey Council law." 15 seconds. X3 felt panic rising in his chest. His skin was flashing bright yellow now. "Admiral, we can discuss this situation. There must be some misunderstanding." 10 seconds. "Please, we are a monitoring station only. We have no weapons. We pose no threat to your fleet." 5 seconds. X3 frantically activated his emergency transmitter and sent a priority message to the Council Fleet headquarters. The message contained everything his sensors had detected about the massive human fleet approaching from the outer system. "Time's up," Admiral Chun said. The transmission ended. X3 looked at his tactical display and saw that the lead human ship was targeting his monitoring station with some kind of weapon. The energy signature was unlike anything in the Council's databases. "All hands, abandon station," X3 ordered. "Emergency evacuation procedures." But it was too late. The human ship fired a single beam of energy that seemed to bend space itself around X3's station. The Xanthari captain had just enough time to see his ship's hull begin to fold in on itself before everything went white. When the light faded, there was nothing left where the monitoring station had been. No debris, no wreckage. No trace that it had ever existed. The weapon had not destroyed the station. It had unmade it at the molecular level. Admiral Chun watched the destruction of the alien monitoring post from the bridge of her flagship, the UES Retribution. The ship was the largest ever built by human hands. Its primary weapon, the stellar converter, could turn entire planets into expanding clouds of superheated gas. Around her, the rest of the Ghost Fleet was emerging from its hiding places in the outer system. "Admiral," reported her tactical officer, "the fleet is at full strength. 10,000 combat vessels, 15,000 support ships, and 50,000 automated weapon platforms. All systems are operational." Admiral Chun nodded. The Ghost Fleet represented 50 years of secret construction and the combined industrial output of the entire human species. Every ship was equipped with weapons that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Every crew member had trained for this moment their entire career. "Communications, transmit the following message on all frequencies," Admiral Chun ordered. "To the species of the Galactic Council, you have declared war on humanity and initiated the systematic extermination of our people. You have murdered over 60 million innocent civilians. You have shown us that there is no place for human beings in your galaxy." She paused, looking out at the stars where human colonies had once thrived. "We accept your judgment. If there is no place for humanity in your galaxy, then we will make our own place. Beginning now, all Council species are considered hostile. All Council worlds are considered legitimate military targets. All Council citizens are considered enemy combatants." The message was broadcast across every communication frequency known to galactic civilization. Every alien world would hear it. Every Council fleet would receive it. Every species that had supported the decision to exterminate humanity would know that Earth's response was coming. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we are receiving surrender offers from multiple Council worlds. The Altarians are offering to withdraw from human space. The Vorthak are requesting immediate peace negotiations." Admiral Chun's expression remained cold. Response: "Ma'am, send them footage from the destruction of Kepler 442b. Show them what their mercy looks like. Then tell them that humanity is no longer interested in their definitions of peace." The Ghost Fleet began its journey toward Council space. But they would not go directly to the Council's main worlds. First, they would visit every planet that had contributed ships to the attack on human colonies, not to conquer them, not to occupy them. To demonstrate what total war really meant, the first target was Xanthari Prime, homeworld of the species that had led the attack on human civilian evacuation ships. The planet had a population of 8 billion beings. Its orbital defenses were among the strongest in the galaxy. Its fleets had never been defeated in battle. None of that mattered now. When the human fleet arrived in the Xanthari system, they found the local defense forces waiting for them. 300 Xanthari warships in battle formation, ready to protect their homeworld. The Xanthari admiral sent a message offering single combat between champions to settle the conflict honorably. Admiral Chun's response was to activate the Retribution's main weapon. The stellar converter fired a beam of pure energy that struck the largest Xanthari battleship. The alien vessel simply disappeared, converted instantly to its component atoms. The beam continued past the ship and struck the planet's largest moon, which began to crack apart like an egg. "All ships," Admiral Chun broadcast to the human fleet, "commence total assault. No survivors, no prisoners. No mercy." 10,000 human warships opened fire simultaneously. The Xanthari defense fleet was vaporized in the first volley. Their weapons could not even penetrate the human ship's shields. The technology gap was not just significant, it was absolute. The orbital bombardment of Xanthari Prime lasted exactly 17 minutes. The humans did not target military installations or government buildings. They targeted the planet's core, using weapons that destabilized matter at the quantum level. The planet cracked open like a ripe fruit, spilling molten rock and atmosphere into space. 8 billion Xanthari died in those 17 minutes. An entire species was reduced to scattered refugees on colony worlds. Their homeworld was now nothing but an expanding cloud of debris and superheated gas. But the human fleet was not finished. They moved on to the next system, and the next, and the next. Each attack was faster and more efficient than the last. The humans were not just destroying planets, they were perfecting the art of extinction. Within 3 days, the Ghost Fleet had eliminated 6 different species' homeworlds. The survivors fled to the deepest parts of Council space, carrying with them stories of human weapons that could unmake reality itself. The Council's emergency session was held on Zarian Prime, the same planet where they had rejected humanity's membership application. The surviving Council members sat in their crystal chambers, their faces showing the kind of terror that comes from realizing you have awakened something that should have been left alone. The humans are not conducting warfare, reported the Altarian representative, his 3 eyes darting nervously. They are conducting extinction. They are not trying to defeat us. They are trying to erase us from existence. The Vorthek delegate clicked his mandibles together in distress. Our intelligence was completely wrong. These weapons, these ships, none of them appeared in our reports. How did we miss an entire fleet? Because they wanted us to miss it, the Xanthari representative replied. She was one of the few survivors from Xanthari Prime, and her bioluminescent skin was flickering with patterns that indicated severe trauma. For 50 years, they have been planning for this moment. They knew we would eventually betray them. They prepared for it. The council leader, the floating jellyfish-like Nexari, pulsed with dark energy. Can our combined fleet stop them? No, the Altarian replied simply. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their weapons violate the laws of physics as we understand them. Their strategy is flawless. They are not fighting to win territory or resources. They are fighting to ensure that no alien species ever threatens them again. The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The Council had initiated a war of extermination against humanity, expecting to face a young species with limited capabilities. Instead, they had awakened the most efficient killing machine in the galaxy. How many of our worlds have they destroyed? The Nexari asked. 15 so far, the Vorthek replied. But they are accelerating. Each attack is faster than the last. At this rate, they will reach the core Council worlds within a week. The Nexari's energy patterns showed deep distress. Send a message to the human fleet. Offer them anything they want. Territory, resources, technology, tribute. Anything to make them stop. We already tried, the Xanthari representative said. Their response was to broadcast footage of our dead worlds and tell us that humanity is no longer interested in alien definitions of surrender. Through the chamber's crystal walls, they could see stars in the distance. Some of those stars were closer than they should be. The humans were not just destroying planets, they were moving star systems, using technology that made the Council's greatest achievements look like children's toys. What have we done? The Nexari whispered. The answer came from the chamber's communication system. Admiral Chun's voice echoed through the crystal halls, cold and final. You taught us a valuable lesson about galactic politics, the human said. You showed us what happens to species that trust their neighbors. You demonstrated the rewards of friendship and cooperation. We are excellent students. The transmission paused, and in the silence, the council members could hear the sound of their own doom approaching. We are coming to Zarian Prime, Admiral Chun continued. We are coming to show you what total war really looks like. We are coming to finish what you started. The communication ended, leaving the council members alone with their terror and the growing certainty that they had destroyed their own galaxy in their attempt to save it. The Battle of Zarian Prime began at exactly 0800 hours, Galactic Standard Time. The combined fleets of 12 alien species hung in space around their capital world like a steel net. Every ship that the Galactic Council could gather was here. Every weapon that alien science could build was pointed toward the approaching human fleet. Admiral Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the alien formations through the main display. Her tactical officers were counting enemy vessels and reporting their findings. "Admiral, we count 4,000 alien ships," reported Lieutenant Commander Torres. "They have arranged themselves in 7 defensive layers around Zarian Prime. The outer layer consists of heavy battleships. The inner layers are cruisers and destroyers. The planet itself is protected by orbital weapons platforms." Admiral Chun nodded. "How long did it take them to assemble this force?" "Based on our intelligence, approximately 2 weeks, ma'am." "They pulled ships from every system they control." 2 weeks to gather 4,000 ships, Admiral Chun said quietly. "We built 10,000 ships in secret over 50 years and they never noticed. But they can assemble their entire military in 2 weeks when they are desperate." She turned to her weapons officer. "Commander Park, status of the stellar converter?" "Fully charged and ready, Admiral. Target locked on the planet's core." "And, the fleet? All ships report ready for combat. The new weapons are online. Ghost torpedoes are loaded. Reality bombs are armed." Admiral Chun looked out at the alien fleet waiting for them. She felt no hatred toward these beings. She felt no anger about the war they had started. She felt only the cold certainty of someone who was about to finish an unpleasant but necessary task. "Open a channel to the alien fleet," she ordered. The face that appeared on her screen belonged to the Nexari Council leader. The jellyfish-like being was pulsing with dark energy patterns that showed extreme stress. "Admiral Chun," the Nexari said, "we request one final negotiation before hostilities begin. The Council is prepared to offer terms for peace." "What terms?" Admiral Chun asked. "Complete withdrawal from all human space. Full reparations for the damage caused to human colonies. Recognition of humanity as a sovereign species with full rights to expansion and self-defense." Admiral Chun was quiet for a moment. "And in return?" "Humanity agrees to cease its campaign of extermination against Council species. The surviving alien worlds are allowed to rebuild. Both sides return to their respective territories and avoid future conflict." Admiral Chun looked around her bridge. Her officers were listening to the conversation. These were people who had lost friends and family in the alien attacks. People who had spent their careers preparing for this moment. "Council leader," Admiral Chun said, "your offer assumes that humanity wants peace with the species that tried to exterminate us." "Admiral, surely you understand that continued warfare will only lead to more death and destruction." "Both sides have suffered enough." Admiral Chun's expression hardened. "Both sides?" "Council leader, let me clarify something for you. In this war, there is only one side that matters now. The side that is still alive." She gestured toward her tactical display, which showed the locations of the destroyed alien worlds. "Your species had 40 years to learn about human nature. You chose to learn only what served your purposes. You saw our cooperation and mistook it for weakness. You saw our restraint and mistook it for inability. You saw our desire for peace and mistook it for submission." The Nexari's energy patterns flickered nervously. "Admiral, we acknowledge our mistakes. We are willing to make amends." "You are willing to make amends now because you finally understand what you are facing," Admiral Chun replied. "But understanding has come too late. You wanted to see humanity's true nature. Today you will see it." She turned to her communications officer. "End transmission. Signal the fleet. Commence operation. Final lesson." The human fleet moved forward in perfect formation. 10,000 ships advancing toward 4,000 alien vessels? But the numbers were misleading. Each human ship was equipped with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Each human crew had trained for decades to fight this exact battle. The aliens fired first. Thousands of energy beams and missile volleys streaked across space toward the human fleet. The weapons were the best that alien science could produce. They were powerful enough to crack continents and vaporize cities. They struck the human ships' shields and simply disappeared. The energy was absorbed, redirected, and stored for later use. The missiles were caught in gravity fields and crushed into harmless dust. The alien weapons might as well have been throwing rocks. "Return fire," Admiral Chun ordered calmly. The human fleet's response was immediate and devastating. Gravity beams. That twisted space itself struck the alien ships and turned them inside out. Reality bombs exploded in silent flashes that erased entire sections of the enemy fleet from existence. Ghost torpedoes phased through alien shields and armor as if they were not there, then detonated inside the enemy ship's cores. The first layer of alien defense was destroyed in 30 seconds. The second layer lasted 45 seconds. The third layer tried to retreat and was vaporized while turning away. Admiral Chun watched the destruction with professional interest. Her weapons were performing exactly as designed. The alien fleet was being systematically eliminated with minimal effort from the human ships. "Admiral," reported Commander Torres, "the alien fleet is attempting to surrender. Multiple ships are powering down their weapons and transmitting white flag signals." "Continue firing," Admiral Chun replied without hesitation. "Ma'am, you heard me, Commander?" "Continue firing until every alien ship is destroyed." Lieutenant Commander Torres looked uncomfortable. "Admiral, accepting surrender is required under the laws of war." Admiral Chun turned to face him. "Commander, which laws of war are you referring to? The human laws that the aliens ignored when they targeted our civilian populations? The galactic laws that were suspended when the Council authorized genocide against our species? Or perhaps the universal laws that should have prevented the systematic murder of 60 million innocent people?" Torres fell silent. Around the bridge, other officers stopped what they were doing to listen. The aliens established the rules for this conflict when they chose extermination over negotiation. Admiral Chun continued. "They chose to make this a war of extinction. We are simply better at extinction than they are." The destruction of the alien fleet continued. Ships that tried to surrender were destroyed the same as ships that kept fighting. Ships that tried to flee were hunted down and vaporized. Ships that tried to hide behind the planet's orbital platforms were found and eliminated. In 14 minutes, the greatest military force in galactic history was reduced to expanding clouds of debris and radiation. 4,000 alien ships, representing the combined might of 12 advanced civilizations, had been swept aside like dust, but Admiral Chun was not finished. "Target the orbital platforms," she ordered. The planet's defensive installations were enormous. Some were the size of small moons, bristling with weapons that could destroy attacking fleets. They had protected Zarian Prime for thousands of years. They were considered impregnable. The human fleet destroyed them in 3 minutes. "Target the planet," Admiral Chun commanded. "Admiral," Commander Park said quietly, "there are 12 billion civilians on Zarian Prime, beings who had nothing to do with the decision to attack human colonies." Admiral Chun looked at him with cold eyes. "Commander Park, how many civilians lived on Kepler 442b before the aliens destroyed it?" 12 million, ma'am. "And how many of those civilians were combatants?" "None, ma'am. It was a farming and research colony." "Did the aliens show mercy to those civilians?" Commander Park's voice was barely a whisper. "No, ma'am." "Then explain to me why we should show mercy to theirs." Park had no answer. Around the bridge, other officers were staring at their displays, unwilling to meet Admiral Chun's eyes. They had joined the military to defend humanity. Now they were being asked to participate in genocide. "I understand your reluctance," Admiral Chun sighed, addressing the entire bridge crew. "You joined Earth's forces to protect human lives, not to take alien ones. You believed that we could resolve this conflict through superior firepower and strategic advantage. You hoped that demonstrating our capabilities would be enough to end the war." She walked to the center of the bridge where everyone could see her. But this was never about military victory. This was about survival. The aliens did not attack us because they thought we were weak. They attacked us because they thought we were strong. They feared what humanity might become if we were allowed to grow and develop freely. She pointed toward the planet below, where 12 billion alien beings waited for their fate to be decided. Those beings down there supported the decision to exterminate our species. They voted for our destruction. They celebrated when our colonies burned. They are not innocent victims. They are enemy combatants who chose genocide as their weapon. Admiral Chun returned to her command chair. Fire the stellar converter. The Retribution's primary weapon charged up with a sound like thunder. Energy gathered at the ship's bow, creating a distortion in space that bent light around it. The weapon was designed to destabilize matter at the quantum level, turning solid objects into expanding clouds of superheated gas. The beam struck Zarian Prime's surface and penetrated straight through to the planet's core. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the planet began to shake. Cracks appeared on its surface, spreading like spider webs across continents. Molten rock began to bubble up from the depths. The planet broke apart slowly, almost gently. Pieces the size of continents separated from each other and drifted into space. The atmosphere vented away in massive storms. Oceans boiled into steam and disappeared. 12 billion alien beings died as their world came apart around them. The capital of galactic civilization, the seat of government for 1 million star systems, was reduced to rubble and radiation. But Admiral Chun still was not finished. "Activate the sleeper ships," she ordered. Across the galaxy, hidden vessels that had been launched decades earlier as exploration ships revealed their true purpose. Each one carried a single weapon, a singularity bomb capable of destroying an entire star system. The bombs detonated simultaneously. 47 stars went supernova at the same moment, their light blazing across the galaxy before fading into darkness. 47 star systems, containing the homeworlds of every species that had participated in the attack on humanity, were erased from existence. The scale of destruction was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Species that had existed for millions of years were extinct in a matter of hours. Civilizations that had survived the rise and fall of empires were reduced to drifting clouds of atoms. When the annihilation finally ended, Admiral Chun broadcast a message to the surviving fragments of galactic civilization. "To any species still listening," she said, "this is Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Fleet. The Galactic Council no longer exists. The species that supported the genocide of humanity no longer exist. The military forces that attacked our colonies no longer exist." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "This galaxy now belongs to humanity. Any species that wishes to dispute this claim is welcome to try. Any species that wishes to coexist peacefully with humanity will be allowed to do so, under human law and human oversight." The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. Years later, historians would mark this as the moment when humanity stopped being one species among many and became the apex predator of the galaxy. The Council's betrayal had been intended to preserve galactic stability by eliminating a dangerous newcomer. Instead, it had unleashed something far more dangerous than the aliens had ever imagined. In the rebuilt halls of what had once been Zarian Prime, now renamed New Geneva, former Admiral Chun served as the first ambassador of the human hegemony. She met regularly with representatives of the galaxy's surviving species to discuss the terms under which they would be permitted to exist. The rules were simple: follow human law, contribute to human prosperity, accept human oversight. In return, surviving species would be protected and allowed to maintain their cultures and traditions. "The old council believed in balance, Ambassador," Chun explained to a gathering of alien representatives. "They thought the galaxy was big enough for many different powers. We believe in results. We have seen what happens when multiple species compete for dominance. It leads to wars like the one that brought us here." She gestured toward a memorial wall where the names of extinct species were carved in stone: Xanthari, Vorthek, Altarian, dozens of others, that had once ruled star systems and commanded mighty fleets. These species made the mistake of underestimating human patience and overestimating human forgiveness, Ambassador Chun continued. They thought they could eliminate us before we reached our full potential. They were wrong about both assumptions. One of the alien representatives, a survivor from a species that had remained neutral during the war, raised a tentacle to ask a question. Ambassador Chun, was humanity always this dangerous? Or did the Council's betrayal create the threat they feared? Ambassador Chun smiled, but it was not a warm expression. That is an excellent question. And the answer is humanity's gift to the galaxy. You will never know for certain whether you created the monster that destroyed your civilization, or whether you simply awakened something that was always there. She stood up, indicating that the meeting was over. What you will know is this. The galaxy tried to judge humanity by alien standards. Now, the galaxy lives by human standards instead. The Council wanted to see our true nature. They got their wish. As the alien representatives filed out of the chamber, many of them whispered the same question that survivors across the galaxy were asking: how had they failed to see this coming? The answer was simple, though few would ever dare to ask Ambassador Chun directly. Humanity had spent 50 years showing the galaxy exactly what the aliens wanted to see: a young, cooperative species eager to fit in and prove their worth. The aliens had learned everything they thought they needed to know about human nature. They had studied human cooperation, human adaptability, human desire for acceptance. They had cataloged human technology, human tactics, human weaknesses. They had never learned about human patience. They had never understood human planning. They had never suspected human ruthlessness. Most importantly, they had never realized that humanity's greatest strength was not their ability to fight, but their ability to hide their true capabilities until the moment they chose to reveal them. By the time the galaxy learned what humanity was really capable of, it was far too late to do anything about it. The students had become the teachers, and the lesson they taught was simple: never threaten the survival of a species that is better at extinction than you are. The galaxy had wanted to eliminate the human threat. Instead, they had created the most efficient predator in the universe. And now, as human ships patrolled the spaceways and human colonies spread across 1,000 worlds, the survivors could only wonder if humanity had always been this dangerous. The answer would remain Earth's secret. After all, the best predators never reveal their true nature until their prey has no chance of escape.